through verse 10, continuing with the verses of Bilam blessing the Jewish people. And he says the following. He says, hold on. Shut down my he says, Mi mana afar Yaakov umisparet rova Yisrael. Who has counted the dust of Jacob or numbered a quarter of Israel? Meaning to say, who can count Tamot nafshi moti sharim, may my soul die the death of the upright, uti achriti kamohu, and may my end be like his. So let's see how Rashi understands this. Hold on one second. Hold on. Let's see what Rashi says. Mimana afari. What does Rashi say here? Rashi says, who has counted the dust of Jacob? What does that mean? Rashi says that means the ad kaya de beis Yaakov kuhu. This is how Unclus understands it. The tender young of the house of Jacob. Meaning to say, this was one of the 4 divisions in which the Israelites camped in the wilderness. Rova means misparat. Rova Yisrael, count one of the divisions. Alternatively, what is the dust of Jacob? Ein cheshbon b'mitzvot she'en taimin ba'afar. You can't even count the number of mitzvot which they do with dirt. Who wants to say a mitzvah which they do with dirt? Anybody want to say? Do you remember? So first Rashi says, you shall not plow with an ox and donkey together. That's one prohibition. You can't plant mixed seeds. You have to take the ashes of the red heifer, the dust of the sota, and similarly. So the Jewish people fulfill many commandments. We serve God with dirt.
Ramban says it's that like the people, the Israelites in the wilderness are so numerous. It's like trying to count the number of grains of dust in the ground. Like you can't.
That's the way I thought it initially. Initially, that's what I thought. Exactly what I thought initially, but Rashi gives a different explanation. Then it says, Umispar et Rova Yisrael. Rashi says, this means their matings, the offsprings that emerge from their relations. Reviotean, Zera Yotze min HaTashmish Shalahem, Tamot nafshi mot yisharim. May my soul die the death of the upright amongst them. Okay. Next verse 11. Vayomer Balak el Bilam. And Balak said to Bilam, Ma asiti li, what did you do to me? Lakovo v'ilakachticha. I hired you to curse my enemy. V'nei beirachta varech. Behold, you have blessed them. Vayan vayomar. And he answered and he said, Alo eit asher yasim Hashem befi. I can only do what God puts in my mouth. Oto eshmor ledaber. Whatever Hashem puts in my mouth, that's what I have to speak. I can't speak anything else. So that's what he said. So next time, Vayomer, that was the first encounter. You're going to see that he goes to 3 separate meetings. Second one, Vayomer Elav Balak. And Balak said to him, L'chana iti, please go with me al makom acher, to another place. Asher terenu misham. You will see them from there. Efes katseo tereh. You will see its edge. V'chul lo tereh. You won't see all of it, meaning to say you won't be overwhelmed by their beauty. V'kavnu li misham. So curse for me from there. It says let's go to a different place. Just don't get the full picture, and that way maybe you'll be able to curse them. Rashi says it's an imperative. He's saying curse it for me. He took them to a field of the lookouts. Al Rosh HaPiska, to the top of the peak, Vayiven Shiva Mizbachot, and he built 7 altars. Vayal Parva Ayal B'Mizbeach. So he built another 7 oil altars, and he brought a bull and a ram on the altar.
Why did they say, what's the significance of 7 altars?
Rashi told us that he wanted to, this is what Rashi said, he wants to relate to the 7 altars that in combination the patriarchs built, because the Jewish people had the merits of their patriarchs, and altogether they built 7 altars. That's what Rashi said yesterday.
Do you want me to scroll back, Rabbi?
I can, you want me to cite it? I could cite it here, that Abraham built 4, and Isaac built 1, and Jacob built 2. Hello there, my dear friends. How are you? Baruch Hashem. Everything good, Ezra?
Yeah.
Moshe? Every day is a blessing.
It is.
Baruch Hashem. Oh, I forgot to put this out. On Sunday, instead of gathering at 6:15 for Rashi, at 6 o'clock, we'll gather around the table here. And we have the Israeli ambassador to Rwanda is going to be in town, and he'll talk to us. He's going to talk to us and tell us about Israel and Africa, and also tell us what we can do to be helpful. So he's just going to have a conversation with us. So he's good friends with Guy, and he's coming in to see Guy. Guy was his mentee, also Guy's brother, who's now the number 2 person in the Rwanda mission to the United States in the embassy. He's also his mentee, and he got them to be excited about Israel. So he's going to come and talk to us. His name is Ron Adam. Yes, Jerry.
So will we have a Rashi class or not?
Well, that day we'll just have, on Sunday, we're just going to talk to the ambassador. That'll be our study, because we have to learn about Israel in these times. But if you like, we could put it on the Zoom also. If you want to join, you'll let me know.
Yeah, I would be interested.
Okay, so we'll put it on the Zoom that day. We'll put it on the Zoom, and people can join on the Zoom also. Okay. He seems like a really nice guy, and he loves Guy. Oh, but he calls him Guy. So I don't
That's
know.
correct.
What?
It's French.
It's not correct, it's French.
But in Hebrew, it's Guy. Guy, yeah. So it's both. It's both. And in American, it's Guy. He never corrected me anyway. Okay, so anyway, back to it. The state Sophim. What is this field of the lookouts? Rashi says, what's this field of the lookouts? Rashi says, Makom Gavoaya. It was a very high place. Shesham Hatzofeh Omeid Lishmor. There, the lookout would stand to keep watch. Im Yavochayo Ala'ir. If an army would come against the city. So he was standing there. That was the place where they looked out. Hello, Aaron. Good afternoon. So, Rosh HaPisgah, what does it mean? The top of the mountain, the top of the peak? Bilam was not the sorcerer Balak was. This is a radical explanation. Balak saw that in the future that there would be a rupture in Israel from right there. Because there was that Moshe died. He was under the impression that there the curse would take effect. And he says, this is the rupture that I see. So Balak told him to climb up the mountain where Moshe died. Balak had even greater insight than Bilam. That's what Rashi's saying. So why, if that's the case, why did he need Bilam? Why did he need Bilam? Rashi says something very interesting. One of the commentaries on Rashi, called the Maskil of David, says something very interesting. Balak's power to divine information was greater than that of Bilam. But he called for Bilam because Bilam's power to curse was greater than his. as Rashi is going to tell us based upon the Gemara in Brachos and Sanhedrin, Bilam had the tremendous ability to know the moment in the day where God was angry. It was one moment of the day, and he knew how to maximize it to, hello there, Kobe. He knew how to maximize it to curse the Jewish people at that time. Okay, so Vayomer Balak, Vayomer al Balak, and he said to Balak, Ityatsev ko, what page around? Let's tell Kobe and Aaron. Okay. So he said to Balak, stand here on your burnt offerings, Vanochi Ikareko, and I will be happened upon here, meaning to say, I'll have the prophecy from God. Meita Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's a passive verb. I'll have the prophecy here. Yes, Jerry.
What is this business of God having a moment? Is this every day? Like we eat breakfast at a given time in the morning, God has an anger fit daily at a certain hour. What is that?
Yeah, so that's what the Gemara in Brachos and Sanhedrin says, and Rashi is going to refer to it. There's one moment, there's one like fraction of a second every day where there's a moment of God's anger. And if you ask God to curse, then God will do the curse. And the Talmud says when it is, but Bilam knew the exact moment when that happens. That's what the Talmud says. I mean, it's obviously not meant to be taken literally. It's supposed to inspire us to understand that even though God is all good, there's a moment where, oh, there you are. Take a chumash, get a chumash. There's a moment where it's very dangerous to get on God's bad side. But that's it's a very powerful idea, but I'm not sure exactly what it means. We have to think about it. But yes, that's what it's saying. Okay. Okay, so verse 16. Here you are. You can sit right here if you want.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right. You're famous, Mo? What happened?
We're on the Fox News.
Really?
Yeah, it's a picture of us
For doing what?
for your lawsuit or
Oh,
whatever.
did they run this story again?
Maybe it's from a little while ago. I don't know. But I just found it. I thought it was funny.
But you know what I'm thinking? I actually should tell that reporter that we're going back into court again, and maybe he'll want to go and see it that day on July 26th, if I remember to reach out to him. Okay, so Vayikar Hashem el Bilam, and God happened upon Bilam. Vayasam davar befiv. What page are we?
870.
873. And God put words in his mouth. Vayomer shuval Balak v'chot deber. God says to him, go back to Balak and say the following. Rashi says, what does it mean he put something in? And why does he have to say that? Why didn't God just say, why didn't the verse just say, go back to Balak and say? So it means that when Balaam heard that he is not permitted to curse, he said, why should I go back to Balak just to cause him pain? So God said to him, a bridle and a hook into his mouth. God said, like a person who pricks the mouth of an animal with a hook in order to take it wherever he wishes. Meaning to say, God stuck like a bridle and a hook in the mouth of Bilam, forced him. He said, against your will, you'll go back to Balak. Wow. Wow. Okay. Verse 17. Vayavo elav, and Bilam came to Balak. Vino no tzavalo, he's standing over his offering. V'sarei Moav ito, and the princes of Moab are with him. Vayomer lo Balak, ma diber Hashem. And Balak said to him, what did God say? Rashi points out that here it just says the princes of Moab, but earlier it says all the officers of Moab. Because once he saw there was no hope in him, they started to disappear. And more of the princes of Moab are disappearing. They're losing faith. They're losing faith. So what did they say? He said, what did God say? They were derisive language, meaning to say, you're not under your own authority. Vayisa Meshalov Yomar, Kum Balak, Ushma, Hazina Adai Benot Tzipor. He said, arise, Balak, and listen, give ear to me, son of Tzipor. Well, Rashi says, once Bilam saw that Balak was mocking him, he intended to cause Balak pain. He said, stand on your feet. You're not allowed to sit, and when I am sent to you as a messenger of God. I always found it interesting that Balak is the son of Tzipor, and Moshe was married to Tzipporah. So they have the same name. So this is what Bilam says. Lo ish el v'chazev uben adam v'yitnachem. Ahu amar v'lo yaseh v'diber v'lo yikimena. He says, God is not a man that he'll be deceitful, and he's not a man that he will relent. He spoke. Would he say something and not do it? Would he speak and not uphold it? Meaning to say, Bilam says, God swore to Israel that he's going to bring them and give them the land of the 7 nations. And you think that you could put them to death in the wilderness? Okay. Verse 20. Hinei varech lakachti uverech velo ashivena. Behold, to bless I have received, he has blessed, and I shall not retract it. Means to say, Bilam is saying, I have to bless them. You asked me, what did God say? I received from him a command to bless them. Uveirayich lo ashivena. He blessed them, and I cannot retract it. Like, there's mosquitoes about to bite me, and I cannot retract it. Okay. Now there's a verse that's often quoted. Lo he beat avem b'Yaakov v'lo ra'a mal b'Yisrael Hashem alkiv imo utruas melchbo. I think we say this before we blow the shofar. He said, Lo he beat avem b'Yaakov. He has perceived no sin in Jacob, and he saw no iniquity in Israel. Hashem, his God, is with him. Utruat melachbo. So it's interesting. I wonder how Rabbi Steinsaltz translates it. Rashi says the word truat, which is usually like a shofar blast, means here the friendship of God is with him. So we see from here the word truat, which is a shofar blast, means friendship. That's what Rashi says. The word truat means chiba v'reus, dearness and friendship. How did Rabbi Steinsaltz translate it?
Blessed throughout of the king is in his midst.
Right, he doesn't say friendship.
He does not.
Yeah, this one says shout.
Right, but Rashi says it means friendship. He's seen no sin in Jacob. So first Rashi says that it means idolaters. Alternatively, that it means he did not perceive the sin. When they violate his words, he is not meticulous with them to meditate upon their falsity and their perversity, and that they violate his law. He overlooks their sins, basically. Yeah.
There's also a continuation. It says alternatively, this
Okay.
means that the people are befriended by their king and are near to him, and the king wants this close relationship
And so that's Rashi.
close to him.
That's Rashi, yeah. So as God is with them, God is with him, even when they cause anger and they rebel before him, he does not move from their midst. Okay, verse 22. Kel motziam mimitzrayim ketoafot re'im lo. It's God who brought them out of Egypt. By the way, what's the meaning that God is their friend? This is a very important idea. What do you think is the meaning of this? I want to focus on this for a moment. What is the meaning that God is your friend?
That God treats you with chesed.
Yeah, that God treats us, all of us, with tremendous love and kindness. And that's why a teacher's job is to try to reflect the way God is with us. So the Rebbe is supposed to try to inspire the students to recognize there's so much love from God, love from the Rebbe, to believe in. The Rebbe is somebody who believes in his Hasidim, that they're amazing, that they're incredible, that they're great. That's what it's a reflection on this idea that truas melach bo, that there's a friendship with God. And a lot of people will say, oh, the Old Testament is this God of anger, God of wrath. But that's not the rabbinic interpretation of these words. The rabbinic interpretation is the God of kindness, compassion, friendship, relationship. That's the idea there. Guy, I was telling everybody that on Sunday at 6 o'clock, we have a lecture from your friend. And he said you're amazing, except he mispronounces your name. He calls you Guy. You want to tell everybody, you want to give him a promotion that we should listen to him? He's a very smart guy.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Okay. And Rwanda votes for Israel in the United Nations. And that's probably in part due to the good relationship with the ambassador and Rwandans. Okay, so the next verse says,
23, 22.
El Motziami Mitzrayim, God has brought them out of Egypt.
Number.
Ketoafot Re'emlo, God brought them out of Egypt like according to the intensity of his loftiness. What does this mean? God led them out of Egypt. You said, Balak said at the very beginning, behold, the people has come out of Egypt. No, the people didn't come out of Egypt. They didn't go out on their own. God brought them out. And like, how did he do it? Like the intensity of the loftiness and height that is his. Similarly, and money, as it gives other expressions. And Rashi says it's expression of flight. Alternatively, here's an alternative. And it's the strength of the Re'emim. Do you know what the Re'emim are? Some say it's the buffalo, the unicorn, the reindeer. What?
Here's this wild ox.
Wild ox.
24 stars.
Some say the aurochs. I don't even know what an auroch is. But its horns are very precious. And then he gives, what is it? Ketoafot re'emlo. What else? The alternative explanation? It is the demons. Rashi says, Elu Hashedim. These are the demons. What are demons? So here we have a footnote. We could talk about the demons. That this would be the only mention that this is a reference to the demons. Demons live on earth but ascend to the heavens. So they're represented by the Re'em, a tall animal. The Gemara speaks of in Zvachim 113b of a re'em of gigantic proportions. According to the Sefer Zikaron, when the rabbi said these are the demons, they meant that God's strength is manifest through his powerful messengers, such as demons. According to Be'er Chaim, this means Be'er Mayim Chaim, it means that the strength of God himself is compared to demons. Wow. Wow, very deep. Not sure. It's Kilo Nachash B'Yakov. Yes.
That's an insulting comparison.
Well, he's saying that it's something lofty, something high. That's why it's compared to demons, because they go on high. Or that he has powerful messengers, such as demons, that God controls the demons. That's what it's kind of saying. Like God controls the demons. Okay. So now it says, Kilo Nachash B'Yakov will Kesem B'Yisrael. There is no divination in Jacob, no sorcery in Israel. Ka'et Ye'amer Yaakov ul Yisrael Ma'pa'el al. Ma'pa'el al. He says there's no divination in Jacob, no sorcery in Israel. Like this time will be said to Jacob and Israel, what has God wrought? This is poetry, so it's very confusing, but what does it mean? There's no divination. They are worthy of a blessing because there are no diviners and sorcerers. Like Balak and Bilam are trying to use sorcery, but the Israelites don't use that. And there's destined to be another time like this, in which Israel's dearness to God will be revealed before everyone. They'll be sitting before him, studying Torah from his mouth, and they will be even closer to God than the angels. And the angels will ask Israel, what has God wrought? The angels will want to know what God is doing, and they'll be asking the Jewish people. And then that's what it says in Isaiah, your eyes will see your teacher. So it's the Bilam is saying the Jewish people are going to have the closest relationship with God of all. Alternatively, this is not a future, but the present. The Jewish people do not need a sorcerer. At every time that it needs to be said to Jacob and to Israel what the Holy One is doing and what his decrees are. They don't practice sorcery, but rather they get it through their prophets or through the oracle of the Urim V'Tumim. Okay.
Ramban has a less exciting explanation.
What's his explanation?
His explanation is it means there's no sorcery or divination that can harm Israel, that there's no way that anything.
That's the way I was reading it too. That's the way I would have read it. Okay, now we see this next verse, which is a very, very famous verse, beautiful verse, and it's actually been cited a lot in this war that we're facing now. Hein am kilavi yakum v'cha'ari et nasa. The Jewish people will rise up like a lion, and like a lavi is a young lion, and Ari is an older lion. Kari et nasa, raise itself like a lion. Lo yishkav ad yochal teref. He does not lie down until he consumes his prey. V'dam chalim yishteh, drinks the blood of the slain. I mean, like, I'm not saying that we should be drinking blood, but the Bible is referring to lions. So when the Jewish people get up from their sleep, this is what Rashi says. This is right away at the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch. I think Rabbi Yosef, when he studies the Shulchan Aruch, I think maybe this was the first halacha. That when we get up in the morning, how are we supposed to get up, Moshe? How should we get up? Like a lion. Rise like a lion and go to sleep like a lamb. So this is what it means. When you get up in the morning, they exert themselves like a lion. They grab the mitzvos, they put on the talis, they read the Shema. They put on the tefillin. And then we don't lie down until we've eaten our prey. What does that mean? What does that mean? It means you don't means to say that before we lie down at night, we recite the Shema on our bed. We give over our spirit to God to keep watch over us, and that's what it means. So anyway, this is just some beautiful explanations of the poetry here by Rashi. We'll stop here. Time to daven mincha. Who is volunteering to lead the service this afternoon? I think Elon is volunteering. Elon is he's a beautiful chazan. We don't let him lead in the mornings because